You're listening to WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network, Singles Talk Radio channel, where we take a lighthearted and candid approach to discussions on the journey of relationship loss, divorce, parenting, being single, relationships building, dating, and yes, sex. Join our listeners and begin living your best life.
Hello there. Welcome to WGSN-DB Digital Broadcasting, Going Solo Network. You're listening to the Business Showcase. I'm your host today, CC Schatz, author, radio personality, and CEO of My Friends Connect. Welcome to Business Showcase. This is CC Schatz, and I have with me today Alex Feger, Action Air Conditioning, and also Andy Littell with Handy Andy. And so today we're going to be talking about a lot of us have a lot of things that we have to do. We have to take care of, especially after divorce. We have to maintain our homes. We don't really know what to do with regards to maintenance on our air conditioner and things like that. And so we really do need to get a check on what we need to do for keeping our homes in gear and saving some money. So this is why we have these gentlemen on today, because that's what they help us do. They help us save money. So let's start right away with Andy. Andy, tell us a little bit about how you got into what you're doing now. You're doing the handyman work. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, well, in '84, I actually went down to Mitchell Electric at my grandfather's request. I was 18. I didn't know where to go. Started doing electrical work back then. Mitchell closed down at some point. Rob Lee, his main guy, took over. He did electrical. I worked with him until he retired. Having never gotten my certification as a master electrician, I decided, well, instead of just focusing on one thing, since I was starting to buy houses at that time, I decided, why don't I just do a regular handyman service and take care of all the little things, plus whatever else they might need. And that was in 2002. Everything's been going great since. At one point, I met this woman. She was a contractor, general contractor, and she says, I need to go get a mold remediation license. I went down and got licensed for mold, for assessment and remediation. And I also got, at the same time, home inspector's license right now, pretty much kept to the mold assessment and the mold remediation. Done total rehabs. I used to buy and sell properties. Actually, I'm getting back into that a little bit. I haven't actually purchased my next property. But after divorce, I've sold all my properties. But we pretty much do anything that rehabber or handyman would do. On the handyman side, I'll patch. If somebody got a leak in the roof, I'll put a patch on it, but I don't want to do the whole roof.
Okay. I think what you do is very important, because both looking at it from a woman's standpoint, there's a lot of little things I can't do as far as lifting and wiring and putting up a ceiling fan and things like that, which is not a difficult thing. It's just something I don't know how to do. Then I look at it from a guy's perspective. A lot of men know how to do these kind of things, but you know what? They just don't have time to do it. And so having someone that can do some of the smaller things that really take up some time is really a great tool to be able to have in your toolbox, to be able to know that you can call someone like yourself to be able to come out and take care of some of these things so they can keep on doing business, building their lives, and making things work for them. So I think it's great that you do this type of work. It's so needed, and I really do appreciate it. So we have with us today also Alex Feger. He's with Action Air Conditioning, and you two work together kind of jointly. So tell me a little bit, Alex, on how you got into doing what you do, because I know you also do the mold. You're a licensed mold tech. And so tell us a little bit about how you got into doing what you're doing, and then how you guys are combining some of your services to really make it work more efficiently for individuals that need your type of work.
Yes, hi everybody. Hey Cece, thank you for having me on the show too. I want to appreciate that, being on the radio. Yeah, I got into it in 2000. I was in Los Angeles. We got into the air duct cleaning business. And from that point, coming down here to Florida, got into remediation of mold and so on, and then get into the HVAC business. I was always wondering what happens why do we have the situation what we have within the air duct system and so on. And that's why I then came in on the HVAC, finally came to full circle. So, it's one of those things where the people don't understand. Maintenance is your main thing. People do not follow the maintenance instructions, or the people really do not know the maintenance. Then what's happening is you're going to create an issue inside your system. Then that's where, once you have that growth going on in there, then that's when you need Andy to come out and have a look at it and take a sample and see what you're up against. That's what it comes down to. It's maintenance. That's what I have seen for all these years. That's the main neglect. Besides the install not done correctly, airflow and so on, I don't want to get into too much of the side on the physics of it. Don't want to confuse people, but that's basically what that is in a nutshell.
I was really surprised because I had an apartment one time and it developed mold. And I was very shocked to find out that how easy it is to have mold in our homes. And the tech there was explaining to me there's mold in the air. We don't quite realize that we're breathing in mold every day. And with Florida being with all the humidity and all of that we have, it's very, very important to maintain our air conditioners, maintain our homes, so there's no leakage in our house or anything like that. So it's very, very easy to get mold, isn't it?
Mold spores are everywhere. They're not necessarily a problem because they're always in the environment. If they're in low quantities, there's no problem in your house. It's only when moisture is added to that, because the other thing that it needs moisture and it needs protein. Protein's everywhere. We shed if you see dust in your house, that's protein. 98% of it's protein. And so you just add moisture, now it has a perfect base to grow. It doesn't need sunlight or anything like that. So what ends up happening, especially like in 2007 when the houses started going into these foreclosures, first thing the bank would do is they would shut the power off. Well, with humidity going up and down with the seasons, that creates enough moisture to start mold. Also, as Alex knows, in your air conditioning system, that's a perfect storm. I'll let him talk more about that, about how mold actually works in your air conditioning system. Go ahead, Alex.
It's basically the same direction I'm going. You know, with mold being, this is Florida. See also how things are built down here. Sometimes you see the structure sitting out there in the rain and so on. A lot of stuff is just built in, but then it's just the maintenance of it where that comes in. And from what I see is a lot of times, since the last 30 years, we're always talking about getting more energy efficiency ratings and all that. The homes are being more tighter and so on. But what's happening is, let's say you have an air conditioner and that goes bad after 10 years. And then you get a new one. Now they change the C rating. It's different coil. It's a different setup. And so what's happening is the whole physics of it changes. And they don't adjust the ductwork. Sometimes we do understand you cannot rip the ceilings out and so on. But a lot of times there will be different things you can do, especially on maintenance. But so that's the whole setup is then changed, and that can cause a problem all by itself.
Wow, I never thought about that before. That is so important. So if you are installing a new air, you want to evaluate the ductwork that's pushing the air through.
Correct, yeah. Correct, because one of the things is too, what we see is there might be some stuff in there. There might be dust or dirt in there and so on. And then a lot of times the HVAC companies don't even point that out, or maybe they don't see it. You know, I do understand time is money. Let's put the new system in there. And then 2 years from now on, then something comes out of your air duct and you're wondering why. So that part of it. And just to give you an interesting number too, just from that point of view, is 70%. This is 70% of the air systems are under or overcharged. And the main problem is the airflow in the industry. The airflow, really the setup of the air handlers, have that done right by a licensed contractor that knows about that critical install, how much return air do we need, what is the pressure that we need for the thing. That's all related, because people don't understand the air system. It is one unit together that works. It's not just your air handler it is the duct system. It's both together in conjunction that needs to be worked out to work efficiently and operating the way it should be done per the manufacturer.
So often, as far as air conditioning, we look at it as being our comfort. We want the coolness because it's so hot outside. The humidity is so bad in Florida, especially in August time when we're getting all the rain. We want to clean our air, but we don't always think about the quality of air in which we breathe. We're looking at more the comfort, but we don't realize that it is so vital to make sure that the quality of air that's being pushed through is good for us to be breathing. These are our bodies. Mm-hmm. We want to live longer. So,
yes, that's the idea, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's great to be able to bring this to the audience and make them a little bit more aware that air conditioning is not so much about this coolness. Oh, is it blowing cold? Is it good? It's also about the efficiency, saving money, but it's also about the quality of the air that's being pushed through. And so that's very, very vital to be able to do that and to make sure that you have someone like Andy that can help you with any insulation or anything that you need to be looked at, to making sure that your ductwork is clean and it's coming through properly. Those are very important issues.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Because again, it goes all back to that part of that maintenance, and that is usually neglect. And it really pays to have somebody come out once a year, open up that air handler, and have a look at wipe the wires down and so on. Sometimes you got to look at your service contract too. It says that we do maintenance, but depending on the company that's out there, you got to read the fine print. I mean, not to mention any names, but I do have seen where people call me up for air duct cleaning and say, yeah, don't worry about the air handler. We just had it serviced and all that. And I opened up that air handler and it was looking really bad and nasty in there. And I said, well, we're doing whole body cleaning here, and that needs to be done too. And she said, well, what's going on? So I had to show her. And of course, she was not very happy, but we see that often, that the technicians out there, sometimes they're not cleaners. They're installers. They're maintaining the system, checking the pressure, the electric and all that, but they just don't have the eye then for the way it should be done cleaning-wise, you see. So that's just one of the things you got to really consider taking that in your own hands and not just trusting somebody's word doing that for you. Somebody make sure that they are really on that contract. It says we do clean. So you can go back later on and say, hey, look, if that's not being cleaned, the guys better come out. I pay for it,
Right. And so those that are out there listening, let's say they're renting, you're going into a rental apartment or something like that, or, a townhouse or something. Can you go and have the air conditioner evaluated? Can you have it cleaned? Yeah.
The best bet would be going out there, have to come out. Handy and me, we can do an inspection. Andy and me have an inspection. And then we can let you know. Because the one thing is, if you have, let's say, something in your air handler, it's very visible, it's there. We don't know what it is until you have it tested. And so that's where Andy comes in. He can take a sample and we know what we're up against. There is so many different kind of molds out there. I'm going to give that over to Andy. But there's so many different things out there where his testing come in, and then we can say, okay, this is the protocol, because sometimes really change out is really the only way to go if it's bad. So there are different scenarios, but yeah, it's definitely a great idea. Also, if anybody buys a new home or anything like that, it's always good to know what you're up against. It also gives you a ground for a mitigation. Or you say, hey, look, we had this inspected. The ductwork is bad. That's going to cost us another $3,000 to replace. Can we do something on closing or anything like that? Well, you know what's going on in your house, and walking in there and then find out half a year later, why do I have a cough going? Why is my kid developing asthma? Asthma is such a big thing. And a lot of it can be avoided of the trigger part of it by having a good air quality in your house. But I want to give that over to Andy about why it is that is important, and also have him come over, because we can tell you it is mold by Floridol. Maybe Andy, you want to take it from there?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the coughing. Just a short while after I was into the mold business, somebody mentioned, you've been coughing for a month, and that sounds like the flu. And I said, no, actually, it sounds like mold. And what I did was I went around my house, and what I found out was, normally when you paint your house, people don't think about it, but I was on a concrete slab, and you don't pull the dirt away and paint underneath the dirt, which is what you need to do, especially with like elastomeric or something. So concrete will get moist, and the moisture would transfer to the inside of the house. So I had mold levels without even realizing it, and I was in the business. If you look at the outside of your house and you see an area that's kind of green, chances are something's going on the opposite side of the wall, and it might be something you might be concerned about or might want to get checked out, just to make sure that usually what's going on the outside of the house is indicative of what's going on the inside of the house.
Oh, that's very interesting. That's something I didn't even think about. This is great for people that are buying homes, but if you're renting a home too, it's important to have knowledge of this type of information so that you can help your landlord if you're seeing this is an investment for them. And so if you see an issue like this where you see a lot of green coming up on the outside of your home, or you're coughing a lot, you can definitely have your air conditioning checked over, have a service call made, and then if you're finding any difficulties, you can come back to the landlord and try to work something else out with them. Because I have worked with a lot of landlords, and they're always willing to maintain their homes. You've got a good landlord with a good piece of property, you would certainly want to do that.
That is surprising about the mold.
How it can affect you physically.
Guy called me out to his house to replace a couple sheets of drywall that had mold on them, is what he said. Well, if it's under 10 square feet, it's not even considered a remediation. So I went out there, I looked at the guy's house, I walked in for about 10 steps, I turned around, walked out, got my mask, and the whole house, I mean, the remediation would have cost more than he paid for the house. That's how bad it was. He had bought it, obviously, nobody was living in it, luckily. A lot of times and he never used me, and I'm sure he never used anybody else. So what happens is sometimes an investor will buy a property, they'll they'll try to take care of the problem themselves. And the problem is they don't really know if they've fixed it, because if they don't do a clearance test, at the very least, what they should do is a test going in and a test going out. And then if their numbers come back good, then at least they're legally not liable if somebody gets sick down the road. I need to carry $1 million worth of liability and also $1 million worth of errors and omissions. That's for the assessment part, just to do work in Florida.
Right. So it would be really worth it if you're buying a home to have, I mean, I know that we usually have it inspected, but they don't inspect this type of detail. And it probably would be wise, especially with all the humidity and all of that we have here in Florida, to go ahead and have a test done to make sure that the quality of the air within the home is good. You don't have any of these hidden issues that you're not really going to know about until after you're well into the house, right?
Yes. And another thing I'll say about home inspectors and also handymen. If you know what you're called if you're in Florida and you're recently unemployed, they call you a handyman. A lot of these home inspectors never fixed anything in their life. They just thought they needed to change their careers because their other career, maybe they got downsized or whatever. They don't know what they're looking at, and they want to put something on the report. So they always try to put something on there because they want to justify that they try to do their best anyways. I'm finding that most of the inspectors are people that they're not even qualified to fix whatever they're looking at. So at least I might renew my license and get home inspection so that I can include that with the mold. But that's something people need to think about too, is who is this guy inspecting your house? A lot of times they don't know anything other than what they learned in a 2-day course. Yeah,
that's a very good point. And so to make sure that really, this is a wise topic that you're mentioning, is to make sure any professional that you have, that you are relying on their information, make sure that they are professionals, that they are trained in their field, they do know what they're talking about. Because so often we don't, because this is what they say they do, we think they do a good job. So we should definitely get maybe referrals to make sure that other people, how long they've been in business. So I would think there's certain things that you want to look for when you're having this type of work done.
I agree with what Andy was saying, because the customer calls you and he's trusting you that you advise him into the right direction. And as Andy says, you have these guys doing a 2-day course. God knows what they retain from that course, one thing. And then, in Florida, you have to be licensed in order to just check an air handler, to open up that air handler panel. So most of the time, the air handler, what they do, they just turn it on, it runs, or it doesn't run, and they make a check on their inspection sheet. Okay, it runs. They maybe look into the return area, or the filter is clean or not, needs to be cleaned. Sometimes they note any kind of dirt around the air handler, sometimes not. So you really don't know, because that's not an indicator of what's going on inside. And so it is definitely important, what Andy said, to making sure when you have somebody coming out that they're being recommended and that they are, because again, it's faith. You're trusting them with their opinion, especially when you buy a home. Well, that faith can be very costly at the end of the day. And especially then also, once you find out there is something going on, also be aware of companies that come out there and they bring a mold test kit with them. There are AC companies out there, they do a testing right on site, and Andy can confirm that there is just no way that you got to take that sample by a third party. Like if I would be out there and the customer asks me, hey, can you do a mold sampling for me? I call Andy, and he can come out, he sends it into the lab, and then what the protocol is going to be. I have seen many times homeowners that they're being taken for it, because the guy says, we just did a testing, you got mold here, now the price is $3,000. And it's just amazing. I got a review actually on Yelp from a guy that called me from Texas. He said, I got this guy in St. Pete, they want to charge me $3,000. They did a testing in my home, And I said, okay. So I advised him, and he saves a lot of money just by got another opinion. So, use your common sense and not just follow, if there's something a little bit you think, wait a minute, $3,000 and so on, it might be not the right guy for you having in your home. Definitely get another opinion.
Right. Absolutely. That's very good advice. And thank you for sharing that. So Alex, tell us how we can get a hold of you.
You can go on my website. That is actionacr.com. You can email me, alex@actionacr.com, or call me, 727-365-8461. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. We do free service calls, but we come out and have a look at it. That doesn't cost you anything as long as you're not living in Lakeland. We are preferring to stay in Pinellas County because we feel staying close, we can just customers, we can serve them faster. Definitely get a hold of me. Any other questions too? And then of course, be glad to help out in any way I can.
Okay, well, thank you so much. And Andy, tell us a little bit more about what you do. Can you kind of a little bit of a rundown of the different handyman things you do for the listeners out there?
Well, the shorter list is what I can't do for you, or what I don't do is I don't do roofs. I've done all types of flooring. I don't do the carpet, but I'll do the other kinds of flooring. If you got drywall that needs patched, or you got a fan that's not working, you got a drip under your sink, things like that, kind of on our short list of the small projects that we do. But pretty much if you have something broken, we can fix it. We know how to fix things. So that's pretty much what we do. Getting back to what Alex was saying, levels of mold with anything over 1,000 requires a remediation.
You can reach Andy at
Handy Andy LLC is my website. If you Google Best Handyman in St. Pete, I'm on the front page, sometimes twice. Also, you can call the office, which is 727-526-4302. I have a technician that usually does the scheduling. His name's Scott. His number is 727-318-2408. Pretty much the best ways to get a hold of us is through that or through my website, handyandyllc.com.
Well, that sounds great. And you work in Pinellas County, right?
Yeah. On the mold assessment part, I will actually go a whole county around. I'll go other places for that. But on the handyman work, we got so much handyman work in Pinellas County, South Pinellas County mostly, that we don't even normally go to North Pinellas County unless there's like a really big job.
So if you are in the St. Petersburg area and you're looking for someone to help you with some of those smaller tasks, Andy can definitely help you with that.
We don't just do small projects. We'll do a little bit larger project depending on what you got.
Well, sure, you'll do larger projects, but if you do need a ceiling fan or something, if you're in the St. Petersburg area, they'll hang that up for you. I mean, that is really important because there's so often you can't get the smaller jobs. And then it is nice to know that you have the expertise to do the bigger
projects.
So you are an all-around handyman. And so just give him a call at 727-526-4302. And his website is
handyandyllc.com.
You want to definitely reach him there. And if you have a mold issue, he will go anywhere in the Pinellas County area.
On the mold assessment, I will go a county around. It doesn't have to be in Pinellas County.
We go Hillsborough, Pasco, Hernando.
Yeah, Manatee.
We had Alex with us, Alex Feger, and he's with Action Air Conditioning.
You can reach him on 727-365-8461.
So thank you, gentlemen. It was a joy to have you on the show.
Thanks for the time, too. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right,
bye.
Bye.
This is Cece with Going Solo Network, and you've just listened to the Business Showcase. We thank you for listening. Bye for now.